coming of spring, they were ready to begin the search for their next great goal, Palenque. The territory to the north, through the Sierra Madre Mountains, was wild and uncharted. As one local said, the roads to Palenque were only for birds. Snakes and clouds of mosquitoes dogged their steps. To Stevens, the worst part was the local custom of carrying a visitor up the steepest trails on a chair strapped to the back of an Indian.
I rose and fell with every breath, felt his body trembling under me, and his knees seemed giving way. The slightest irregular movement on my part might bring us both down together. I would have given him a release for the rest of the journey to be off his back.
On and on they traveled. It took more than a month to reach the fabled ruins that had first inspired their journey. Palenque seemed to hang on the edge of the mountains, its graceful buildings dominating the plain below.
Wherever we moved, we saw the evidences of their taste, their skill in arts, their wealth and power. In the midst of desolation and ruin, we looked back to the past, cleared away the gloomy forest, and fancied every building perfect, lofty and imposing.
Palenque's architecture was different from Copan's, but Stevens noticed many similarities, particularly the mysterious writing. Examining it carefully, he reached a remarkable conclusion.
There is room for the belief that the whole of this country was once occupied by the same race, speaking the same language, or at least having the same written characters.
The Indians Stevens met spoke many languages and were as mystified by the ruins as he was. Yet intuitively, Stevens seemed to sense a link between them.
Stevens, I think, is the first person who can make the connection between the Indians that he sees and meets and the ancient ruins. Whereas other people want to say, oh, these pathetic peasants, these miserable Indians, they could never have built this. We must look for some alternative solution to where these things would have come from. He believes that there's complete continuity. And that, I think, is one of the most radical ideas to come out of his book.
At night, Stevens and Catherwood slept in the imposing ruin they called the Palace. The rainy season had begun, and the mosquitoes, venomous during the day, were even worse at night. Catherwood was already racked with malaria. But somehow they kept on working. For 22 days and sleepless nights, bewitched by the beauty of Palenque. Exhausted, they pushed on, further north and east to the Yucatan. But Catherwood was too ill to continue. Vowing to return, they headed home to New York. In 10 months, the two explorers had accomplished the impossible. They'd rediscovered an ancient American civilization grander than anyone had ever dreamed. Now they were ready to astound the world with its story.
Stevens's book was incredibly popular when it appeared in the summer of 1841, Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan. Harper and Brothers had printed up a goodly print run, and it sold out pretty quickly.
Stevens writes a real page-turner. It's such a personal view. And it becomes one of the great bestsellers of the entire 19th century. It goes through dozens of editions, and there's an enormous American desire to know more about this part of the world.
They were lionized after the publication. They were quite the thing in New York, and it was reviewed everywhere, and just an amazing, publication, epic. So the trip was a success, and they planned to go again.